It's time again for the Science Bowl.
Zoo Parade for 5. What big teeth the hippo has are actually a pair of these. Science Potpourri for 10. Would a snake most likely eat every day? Every week, Dateline Science for 10. Why are some elephants wearing necklaces these days? Green things for 15.
And now, here's your host, Mr. Z himself, Dave Zarin.
Thank you, and welcome to this special edition of Science Bowl. The two teams you're about to meet have won once already, and today's winner will be the third of the 4 semi-finalists in this year's middle school competition. Let's meet the teams now. First, from James Madison Middle School, please say hello to Theodore Levy, Jacob Pounds, and Renee Williams. And from John Hanson Middle School, please welcome our contestants, Deja Rogers, Everett Richmond, and Julian Nelson. And now here are the categories of questions we use on Science Bowl.
Okay, Mr. Z, here's today's categories. Green things, questions about plants and all things green and growing. Zoo Parade, a Noah's Ark of questions about animals. Body systems, we'll see how much you know about yourself, about things like breathing and growing and digesting your food. Let's get physical. Questions that test your knowledge of physics and chemistry, earth science and space science. Then there's Science Potpourri. Here's a grab bag of science questions, everything from air pollution to the kitchen sink. And finally, Dateline Science. We'll ask you about science history and science in the news.
Here on Science Bowl, our game board reflects question difficulty, with the easier questions on the left worth 5 and 10 points, and the tougher ones worth 15, 20, and ultimately 25, the toughest question of them all. Both of our teams start out at 50 points. No penalties ever for incorrect answers. At the end of the 2 rounds today, we will have our third semifinalist, joining Martin Luther King and Thomas Pullen in that semifinalist winner's circle. Let's make sure everything's working. Jacob and Theodore and Renee, go ahead, push that buzzer. All right, it's a group push over there. You're all ready and raring to go. Nice to have you back. And Everett, would you try your buzzer? Thank you, young man. Good luck to you and to Julian and to Deja. Are we ready?
Yes.
Let's do this. May the better team win, and congratulations for having made it this far in our competition. You guys are all super players. We go alphabetically J-A before J-O, so Jacob, start us out.
Let's get physical for 15.
Let's get physical for 15 to start our game. Teams, nutritionists will tell you that not all carbohydrates are equal. So if you take a handful of candy corn and eat it, you're eating empty whats? James Madison.
Calories.
Calories, that's right. Not the good kinds of carbohydrates. Next, Red.
Zoo Parade for 10.
Zoo Parade for 10 points. Multiple choice question. Teams, someone in political office who cannot run again is known as a sacrificial lamb, a red herring, or a lame duck. John Hanson.
Lame duck.
A lame duck it is, that's right. The lame duck Congress, a lame duck president. Go green.
Green things for 15.
Green things for 15 points. Teams, botanically speaking, a Brazil nut is actually a what? Jacob.
Walnut.
No, not a walnut. A Brazil nut, botanically speaking, is really a what? John Hanson.
A leaf?
It's a seed. It's a seed. Botanically speaking, nuts are seeds. Try again, please. Green.
Zoo Parade for 15.
Zoo Parade, 15 points. Teams, because they are so shy and are stressed by looking at human beings, when researchers go to study these largest of the great apes, they just look for signs of its presence. John Hanson.
Gorilla.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Good. Go. Green.
Body systems for 15.
Body systems for 15 points. With that answer, you took a 10-point lead. This is body systems for 15 points. Teams, if you eat too late and go to bed right away, gastric juice can leak into this body tube and cause heartburn. John Hanson?
Esophagus.
Esophagus, that's right. And you've got to reach for the Nexium or the other kinds of medications to kind of reduce the fire. Go green.
Science Potpourri for 15.
Potpourri, 15 points. Teams, when the Gulf oil well was spouting and scientists were trying to come up with different ideas, maybe we can fill it with mud, those guesses as they did that large experiment are the whats, Hanson?
Hypothesis.
Yes, they formed various hypotheses, and finally, One of them worked. Go, green.
Dateline science for 15.
Dateline for 15 points. Look at the monitor, please, in the studio, if you would. The foremost primatologist in the world today, her studies of chimpanzees were earth-shattering. Is this Diane Fossey?
Jane Goodall?
It is Jane Goodall, absolutely right. I was going to give you the choice of Diane Fossey, Sally Ride, or Jane Goodall. You pulled that out. We're impressed. Go, Hanson.
Green things for 10.
Green things, 10 points. Here's your question. People who make maple syrup count on the fact that every sugar maple every year makes between 6 and 50 gallons of this. Jacob.
Sap.
Sap. Yes, sir. Good. Go.
Dateline science for 25.
Dateline for 25, the big one in that category. Teams, 3 volcanoes are erupting simultaneously in the geologically active area around the Pacific Ocean, known as the, Jacob?
Ring of Fire.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear for 25 points, the Ring of Fire. And with that, that takes you up to 100 points, 120 for Hanson. What a good game. Jacob, you choose.
Let's get physical for 10.
Let's get physical, 10 points, teams. If you look directly at the sun, you can and can't, maybe, see these, the areas on the sun where it is relatively cool. Everett.
Sunspots?
Sunspots, yes. And of course, you're going to see spots before your eyes if you're looking at the sun, which you shouldn't do. All right, good. Go. Green.
Can I have science potpourri for 25?
Potpourri for 25. Big one in that category. Teams. What same 4 letters are at the ends of the words of the chemicals that you use to kill a pest, a weed? Same 4 letters, Theodore.
ICDES.
Ooh, so close, so close. The 4 letters that are at the end of the words of the chemicals to kill pests and weeds and rodents. Everett.
SIDE.
CIDE, pesticide, herbicide, rodenticide. You had them, Theodore, you just had them in the wrong order. Good try, both teams. Go green.
Dateline science for 20.
Dateline, 20 points, teams. Thousands of bats and birds are being killed by the blades of these that are, yes, Jacob.
Plows.
Not plows, not plows. The blades of these are killing thousands of birds and bats. These objects are being planted on farms all across America.
Windmills?
Windmills, absolutely. The wind farms. That's exactly right. Good. Green. Hanson.
Zoo parade for 25 points.
Zoo parade for 25. This will be the last question before we take our break. 25 points in Zoo parade. Here it is. Teams, birds like penguins and pelicans and petrels, when they go shopping, they don't drive SUVs. Jacob?
They walk.
Ooh, they don't walk. No, they don't walk. These birds, when they go shopping, they don't take SUVs. They don't carry shopping bags. So the only way that they can feed their chicks is when they come back to the nest, they do this.
They regurgitate.
Yes, indeed. They spit up dinner. Sounds lovely. Yes, all right. With that, 25 more points for John Hanson. We go to the break. John Hanson, 175. James Madison, 100. We'll be back with this important game in just a moment. Don't go away. And welcome back to Science. Well, thank you for spending part of your day with us, and I hope you're able to keep up with our fine scholars here. Let's meet them. They've been here before, and we love having them back. James Madison, Theodore, and Jacob, and Renee. You're playing a super game, as you did when you were here before. Tell us about James Madison. It's in the southern part of Prince George's County. Jacob, what do you like best about James Madison?
The fact that the way the hallways go. Like, most schools you get, like, run over in the hallways.
Yeah.
That way, we walk on, like, certain sides of the hallway to keep ourselves from getting hit, run over, anything.
You know, you're absolutely right. You know, I never thought about that. Some of these schools, it's like being in an airport, you know, and people are running all over the place, so there's some order there, and that provides some stability. What an interesting observation. I'm sure the principal had a lot to do with that. Your principal is new this year, is she not?
She is. She comes from a high school.
Comes from a high school. What's her name?
Miss King.
Miss King, that's right. And the sponsor of your team, Miss Harkless, she is here?
Yes.
And we'll meet her in a few moments. And any alternates, Jacob?
Victor.
Victor, all right, and we'll bring Victor out in a few moments. You're an aspiring paleontologist, right? You want to dig up artifacts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you got interested in this? Tell the audience how you got interested in paleontology.
I saw all these shows on Nat Geo and the Science Channel, and I wanted to be one of those people on those shows.
Yeah.
So that's where it all took off from there.
And isn't it great because you can be an outdoors person? You know, you're out there in the elements and you're still doing science. You're not sitting behind a desk, and yet you still have your laptop with you when you need. Yeah, it sounds like a great job. You play a nice game, too. Theodore, nice to have you back. Tell us about yourself. How do you know so much about science?
Well, I know a lot about science because when I was little, I liked to get on the computer and just search for different things related to science. And I watched a lot of science shows. And then over time, I started to learn more about science and more of what I can do already right now. And then I just started studying different things. I started reading books, watching the Science Channel. And it just helped me get a good vocabulary in science and learn more about scientific subjects.
Well, and you've done well. There's evidence of that. You're so articulate, and the evidence of all that study is here today because you're coming up with some really good answers here. And you want to be an inventor someday, correct?
An inventor or an industrial designer, yes.
Very good. Well, I can see you're going to succeed whatever you want to try to do. You have a nice discipline about yourself. Renee, nice to have you back, young lady who loves animals, yes? And of all the animals that you've ever come across, what's your favorite?
I would probably have to say dogs.
Dogs. Now, do you have a dog at home?
I do.
Yeah. What kind of dog is it?
A Cocker Spaniel.
Cocker Spaniel. So that's the long ears and the fur. Do you have a good vacuum cleaner at home?
No, but...
They like to shed a lot. What's your Cocker Spaniel's name?
Rocky.
Rocky. All right. And would you like to be a vet someday?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, you're leading up to that. And tell us about how you know so much about science.
About science, it started pretty much in elementary school. I've read books. I go to the library a lot on different occasions. And we usually had science projects back in elementary school, a lot of them. And most of them, my dad did help me with. Some of them I had to do on my own. So therefore, I used my laptop to do most research on it to find my answers to most of them. And so science pretty much has been one of my things I really love about.
Well, it shows, and I love when you say, that you work with your dad, he's helping you out, he's encouraging you, and that you go to the library. So many times people neglect that resource right now because, you can access everything online, but libraries are wonderful resources, and you're doing a nice job. Keep it up. Keep it up. John Hanson, nice to have you guys back. You guys are whizzes. You just know everything we seem to ask around here. Everett, why so smart? What do you do?
I watch TV.
Yeah. TV gets a bad name sometimes, doesn't it?
It depends on what shows you watch.
Isn't that true? That's very true. If you're selective, you can just watch mindless things. Talk about empty calories. There are empty calories on TV, too. Tell us who the principal is at John Hanson. You reminded us last time that your school is two parts, isn't it?
Yes. On the French immersion side, we have Dr. Sama, and on the Montessori side, we have Ms. Chappelle.
And where is John Hanson?
It's in Oxon Hill, Maryland.
Oxon Hill. And who's the sponsor? You have two sponsors, don't you?
Mr. Diarra and Miss Morales.
And they're out there, and they are just so keen on you doing well. They're sitting down there kind of biting their fingernails and just hoping you guys keep doing as well as you've been doing. They can relax because you're playing a great game here today. Any alternates on your team?
Yes, we have Katie, Rochelle, Samara, and Hannah.
Wonderful. And they'll be out in just a few moments. And someday you hope to go into zoology.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know when you were here before, you've been on our program before, you've always loved animals. Yes. And Deja, nice to have you here, young lady who's in sports. Yeah, you play basketball? What else do you do?
I played soccer. I play kickball all the time. I just like to play sports.
Well, I think that's wonderful. I mean, it's good to be outside, and yet you've not neglected your studies. Obviously, you're an excellent student. What's your favorite subject? And you don't have to say science.
Math.
Math, very good. And of course, math and science go together often. Why did you want to be on our show?
It was fun.
It's fun. We enjoy having you here. And what do you hope to do someday?
I want to be a vet.
A vet. Oh, you and Renee have to get together and share notes because I know you take care of dogs too, don't you? Yeah. And Julia, nice to have you here. Tell us what you do in your spare time.
Right now I'm playing football. In the summer I usually do shot put for my track team.
And is the track team associated with John Hanson?
No, it's separate.
It's separate. And what do you hope to do someday?
I hope to be a physicist and a biological engineer.
Wonderful. And I'll ask you the same question I've been asking other folks. How do you come by all of your knowledge?
My parents said that when I was a kid, I read a lot, and I can't really vouch for that because football. It's kind of.
Kind of dominated your life right now.
Yeah.
But you had a good beginning, and it certainly shows here. Let's get back into our game. 175 Hanson, 100 James Madison. Lots of points to give away. Last correct answer came from Everett. Would you start us out, please?
Green things for 20.
Green things, 20 points. Teams, although he did not wear a monocle or a top hat or carry a cane, George Washington Carver still was Mr. What? Mr. what, Everett?
Peanut.
Peanut, that's right. George Washington Carver. All the uses of the peanut that he came up with. The legume man. Go.
Zoo parade for 20 points.
Zoo parade for 20 points. Look at the monitor, please, in the studio, if you would. Rudyard Kipling's famous book, Rikki Tikki Tavi, was all about this mammal that could, yes, Everett?
Mongoose.
Mongoose, yes, could fight and beat the cobra because he had the moves and he was immune to the cobra's venom. Good. Green.
Body systems for 10 points.
Body systems for 10 points. Teams, former Vice President John Nance Gardner so hated the vice presidency that he once said, "It is about as good as a pitcher of warm, what fluid that you're made in your mouth?" Jacob.
Spit.
Spit. Worth a pitcher of warm spit. Boy, that's quite a put down. Quite a put down. Try again, please. Red.
Body systems 20.
Body systems, 20 points. Teams, listen, multiple choice question. If you're suffering from hemophilia, you most likely would not want which of the following chemicals that comes from bat saliva? An antidiuretic, an antihistamine. Jacob?
I passed to Theodore.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Spit.
I think you might have jumped in a little too soon there. John Hanson, which of the following chemicals that could be harvested from bat saliva would most likely not be something a hemophiliac would want? An antidiuretic, an antihistamine, or an anticoagulant?
Antihistamine.
Anticoagulant. Hemophilia are people who bleed easily, so an anticoagulant would mean that they would continue to bleed, so you would not want that. Try again, red. 110. Go, Jacob.
Science potpourri 10.
Potpourri for 10 points. Teams, if you go to get a flu shot, they're going to ask you, are you allergic to these? Because the virus is, Everett? Eggs, that's right. It is incubated, it is inoculated inside the egg. Green.
Science potpourri for 20 points.
Potpourri for 20 points. Teams, your question is as follows. Vets, Renee and Deja, you may know about this, are now operating on dogs for Cushing's disease, which is caused by a tumor on the pituitary gland. As a consequence, does the dog have to undergo heart surgery, brain surgery, or intestinal surgery? Jacob.
I passed Renee.
And intestinal surgery?
Not intestinal surgery. You're removing a tumor from the pituitary gland. Thus, the poor dog has to go through heart surgery, intestinal surgery, or brain surgery.
Brain surgery?
Brain surgery, because that's where the pituitary gland is located. Yes, good comeback. Go green.
Zoo parade for 5 points.
Zoo parade, 5 points. Teams, a recent census says there are 225,000 of these animals in Maryland, which is why Bambi is no longer too popular, John Hanson.
Deer.
Deer, that's right. Far too many, and nothing eats them. Go, green.
Body systems for 25.
Body system for 25. The big one in that category, teams. Scientists have discovered that lungs will relax if exposed to bitter, acrid smoke, which may lead to some relief for people suffering from what A-initialed respiratory disease. Jacob.
I passed to Theodore.
Theodore.
It would help people.
A-initial disease. Give me an A-initial disease. That's what I'm looking for. John Hanson, an A-initialed respiratory disease. There are people who suffer from it could get some relief after this discovery that acrid smoke causes lungs to relax.
Asthma.
Asthma, that's what I want to hear. Good. Green.
How did I not know that? I have.
Yes, sir.
Let's get physical for 5 points.
Let's get physical for 5 points. Teams, Galileo decided not to say anything about these that he saw around Saturn until he figured out maybe he wasn't really seeing the right thing. Everett.
Rings.
Rings, that's right. He didn't want to make a fool of himself, so he wanted to make sure that he actually saw them and wasn't imagining it. Okay, Green.
Green things for 25 points.
Green things for 25. Big one in that category. Tough question. Teams, it is ironic that when algae overpopulate and bloom in a lake, the lake turns hypoxic. Explain that. John Hanson.
There's no oxygen in the water.
Right, and the ironic thing is that the algae do what?
Block the sun. Like.
Judges? Block the sun. All right, yes, we will accept. Say it again, please.
It block the sun. Like.
Julian, what did you say?
They produce oxygen.
They produce the oxygen, and here it's not available in the water. Reason being, thank you, judges, reason being, when the algae start to die, bacteria break them down and they suck the oxygen out in that decomposition process. All right, thank you both for your assist there. Go green.
Let's get physical for 20 points.
Let's get physical for 20 points. Come on, James Madison, get back in this game. A lot of people put filters on the taps in their homes, so when the water goes through, this chemical element symbolizes... Jacob. Lead. Yes, I didn't even need to give you the PB. Good, go. Red.
Let's get physical for 25.
Let's get physical 25, big one in that category. Multiple choice question. On The Simpsons, Homer plays baseball for the Springfield Watts. These are chemical elements that are variants because they have different atomic weights, more nuclei than normal. Are they called the Springfield ions, the Springfield isomers, or the Springfield isotopes? James Madison.
Pastor Peter.
They're called the Springfield isotopes.
That is correct. Yes, indeed. You got that for 25 points. Good. Go, Jacob.
Dateline science for 5.
Dateline for 5 points. Teams, what illicit plant was on the ballot recently in California trying to become legal? John Hanson.
Marijuana.
Marijuana, the weed. You got it. Good. Go. Green.
Dateline science for 10 points.
Dateline for 10 points. Question is as follows. Early 2009, NASA sent a rescue mission to try to repair what telescope? Everett?
Hubble.
The Hubble, that's right. Its days are numbered. The James Webb will take its place. We're down to our last 3 questions. Where, John Hanson?
Body systems for 5 points.
Body systems for 5 points. Teams, watch out for the zombies. They want to eat your what? James Madison?
Brains.
Brains, that's right. Good. Don't let them. Go. Green. Red.
Green things for 5.
Green things for 5 points. Teams, it's surprising when you hear that these giant Halloween gourds that can weigh hundreds of pounds, John Hanson? Pumpkins, instead of breaking apart, they flatten. Last question of the game, science potpourri for 5 points. Here it is. Some college students recently got very sick because they drank 3 cans of 4 Loco. Each can equal to 5 drinks of alcohol. Also, they contain what stimulant that's found in coffee? Jacob.
Caffeine.
Caffeine, and that is the end of our game. It looks like John Hanson has done it. They're going to the semifinals. We'll be back with a wrap-up in just a moment. Don't go away. And welcome back. Well, the score doesn't really tell you the story today because we had 6 great players. We're proud of each and every one of them. Our final tally today is James Madison, 170, John Hanson, 325. Hanson, you are our 3rd semifinalist. Congratulations to Deja and Everett and Julian. And look at the cast of characters back there. Mr. Diarra, Mr. Morales, thank you for being wonderful sponsors. And wave ladies, Samira and Katie and Hannah and Rochelle, all of our alternates. Congratulations. Let's see some smiles here. I don't want to see any wet eyes over here. You guys played a wonderful game. Theodore, you never gave up. You came up with so many good answers. Jacob, you're terrific. And our future vet, Renee, we loved having you here. And Victor, he's smiling already. He knows they did a great job. And Ms. Harkless, thank you for being part of our game here. We loved having James Madison back again. Thank you. We'll see you next time on another edition of Science Bowl. Bye-bye.